Hello, friends from the comic world. My name is Hector,
And my name is G.
and we are here to talk to you about the new collected editions and graphic novels that are coming out February 2026. And if you don't know, G and I work for Penguin Random House. We manage sales into the direct market around the world. So, titles that we talk about in these videos are from publishers that we represent into those markets. Also, I wanted to sort of explain if you don't know, if you haven't watched these videos before, the way we do it is me and I will talk about a few titles that we picked that we want to highlight. And then after that, we'll show you some other titles, sort of a list of titles that we think you should not miss. And then after that, we'll leave you with the rest of the list. So by the end of the video, you'll be able to see everything that is publishing in the month of February 2026 for new collected editions and graphic novels. As always, there could be a few titles that you've seen in previous videos. There are sometimes delays in production or rearrangement of schedules for publishing, and it's totally normal. It's part of the business, but be aware. And without further ado, let's get started. I believe it's your pick first.
Yes,
Yes.
and this is Blood Honey, and this is from done by Sean Peacock, coming out in trade paperback in February, and this is coming out of the IDW or the IDW Dark imprint from IDW. So this is about a young couple. We have Vanessa and we have Edgar, and they're considered as the top of the food chain at a prep high school. And so what they really should be focusing on as teenagers is the upcoming crowning of the homecoming queen and king. But lately, the duo has grown weary and resentful of each other. So while breaking up might seem like the easy solution here, I mean, there would be no story. That's the easy solution. Um, they've been both independently decided that all of their problems would be solved if the other was well dead. So this is from, of course, writer and artist Sean Peacock. This is a cat and cat. They're both predators in this case. Cat and cat game as two teenagers try to murder each other in a very elaborate and fashionable way, which why wouldn't you like that? It has everything that it sounds like a lot of fun to read. So this is my pick.
Excellent. And next up is Star Wars Hidden Empire Omnibus. And this has Paulo Cicada cover here. And with amazing looking Kira on the cover there. And this is it's an epic trilogy that began with Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, and then it ended as Star Wars Crimson Reign. And this story kind of collects the big crossover that was Hidden Empire, all across, uh, I think, pretty much every Star Wars book at the time. And it sees Kira's sort of, um, as she's heading Crimson Dawn, the syndicate, the crime syndicate, kind of executing her big plan to take down the Empire for good. But of course, things don't go as planned, as they never do in Star Wars. And we see in this story was, like I said, very epic, sort of the middle story of this huge trilogy. Um, and it includes not just Kira, an amazing character was introduced in the Han Solo movie, and has become one of fans' favorite, but also includes other characters that make some appearance that are well known, including Darth Vader and also Dr. Afra at some point. So it collects. I'm not gonna say everything, but it does collect Star Wars Hidden Empire 1 through 5. It has Star Wars Revelations #1. It has several issues of just the regular Star Wars, um, series, then the Bounty Hunters, also Star Wars Darth Vader, and of course a few issues of Star Wars Dr. Aphra. The writers on this include Charles Soule, Ethan Sachs, Greg Pak, Alyssa Wong, and Mark Guggenheim. And pencilers include Stephen Cummings, Andres Genolet, Ramon Rosanas, and so many, many more. Can't mention it all. Very, very cool story. I think in recent memory for Star Wars, this whole trilogy with the War of the Bounty Hunters, Hidden Empire, and Crimson Reign, I think it sort of cemented that you can still have some really cool arcs and stories and trilogies that do not necessarily concentrate on the main Skywalker saga. And it is a very entertaining. It takes a look deeper into the underground of the world of Star Wars, of the universe of Star Wars, even though it does include the Sith and it includes a lot of the elements that are very typical of Star Wars, but it kind of gives you more with the bounty hunters, with the crime syndicates, and all that, and it gives you more story within that, and introduces a lot of really cool new characters that are now you are able to see in some of the comics and novels that are coming out. And hopefully will be coming in live action soon, like Dr. Alpha is coming out in live action next year, which is great. Um, so that is it for that one.
All right, next up we have Just Between Us, a graphic novel. This is done by Adeline Kahn. So this is coming out simultaneously in hardcover and trade paperback. We have a character named Lydia Chen who she knows that she's good on the ice, technically perfect on the ice. So she's been the one to beat since her debut years ago. Except now there's just something missing in her performance. The spark has been really gone for a while now, which I'm sure a lot of athletes have to deal with, especially starting so young and being in the game for so long. But between the constant training, appealing to sponsors to fund her, and the pressure to perform, her passion for skating has essentially disappeared. And then suddenly she has her rival, Elaine Yi, who suddenly starts training at the same rink as her. So Lydia is very much taken aback and struck by the emotions in Elaine's routine, and she unwillingly finds herself getting closer and closer to her as they compete for a spot in the Olympics. And so the tensions between them comes to a head, and Lydia is about to find out how a competitor can become an ally. And also, it's like a weird like tug and pull. This is your competitor and rival, but at the same time, this is the same person that's trying to remind her and almost like it's a way for her to figure out how to feel alive and passionate again on the ice. So if like this is a graphic novel slash comic, obviously from Penguin Readers, but like if you're trying to get like readers into manga, a medalist, it's like a similar type of like ice skating
Yeah.
story. Obviously, it's different, but if in the same similar vein, those two would be like I would also pick that up too.
Right.
um, pick up some volumes of that as well. So this sounds definitely something I would want to pick up. I like the way that the cover shows because it's like two opposing forces mirrored against each other, which is very beautifully illustrated um, on the cover here. It's very difficult to illustrate dancing, but also figure skating in
Yeah.
comic form. And I think this does it well. Same thing with medalists. They both like to communicate the emotion and the motions of the sport. It's very difficult to do, but this is one to keep an eye on.
And we continue with Wake Now in the Fire, a graphic novel by Jared Dapir and illustrated by A.J. Dungo. And this is based on real events that happened here in the US in Chicago high school um, when I forget the year, but there was they banned the book, the graphic novel Persepolis, in seventh grade for seventh grade in the Chicago educational department, and some students. It kind of tells you the story of what happened with a group of students and teachers and I think also family members who were who saw this and decided that to fight back and to form protests and the students did walkouts and from the classrooms and sit-ins in the libraries and promoted reading the graphic novel for everybody to read it at the same time and um, it was not just big news, but also it sort of gave a lot of an example of what should happen when things like this happen in educational systems and with books being banned, which unfortunately has become such a big thing since even still happening. But there's also a lot of movements and a lot of fighting against it too, which is great. I read a couple of pages and it's very cool because it really gives you sort of a it's not a textbook. It's not a history lesson. It's more of a telling you because it's based on interviews from different people that were involved, and actually the author is a librarian that was involved, and it tells you sort of not just what was happening in the technical part of it of what was happening and the laws involved, but also the reaction of people to what was happening. Because at the beginning they thought it was just a school, but then they it kind of realized, oh no, my God, no, it's all over Chicago, and the reasoning behind the bannings and all that. So it's a very interesting book, and I think it's something important to read about in general as a topic because it's something that I'm, like I said, unfortunately, it's growing and it's it's something that we all face nowadays. I don't think the U.S., even though there's it's big here in the U.S., I don't think it's the only country that's facing it. So yes, and I found it, and also because it's such an important book, not just in general for books, but for us in the comic world, it's such an important book. So there you go. I highly recommend it. I said I looked at a few pages, and from what I've seen, also the illustrations from AJ Dongo, who describes himself as a artist and a surfer. He is actually a actual professional surfer, which is kind of cool. And I've watched some. I saw some of his other illustrations that are extremely beautiful, very similar to what you see here on the cover. So can't wait for that. Also, I should mention it's coming out not just in hardcover but also in trade paperback at the same time. Yes, so very cool. Very not great topic, but important topic is what I should say that everybody
Mhm.
should be aware of and read. There you go.
All right, next up we have Crypto, the Last Dog of Krypton. Ryan North is the writer on here as part of a creative team, including Mike Norton, Ian Herring, as well. And so this is the Crypto, the super dog, heartfelt, moving origin story for Superman's beloved dog. So we start with, like I said, his origins, seeing his life with Kal-El on Krypton before he's sent into space and crash lands on Earth. So from there, we follow Crypto as he faces a new world for the first time, traveling from town to town, meeting and befriending people, working to solve their problems. In the end, he finds and is found by Superman. So, like I said, it is a very heartfelt, moving view of humanity, both good and bad, through the empathetic eyes of the ultimate outsider, this poor lost dog who just happens to have superpowers. I really, really want to read this, to the point where I picked up the first issue recently. So I want to show you my copy. Oh wait, it's glared. You'll see
Yeah,
what I mean. The cover art on this, very
it's
beautiful, is
daily.
the cover art done by Jay Lee and Jun Chung,
Yeah. Hmm.
which you'll see on the trade paperback here as well. So yeah, uh, how can you not? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's very cool. Yeah,
yeah.
very, very neat. All right, and now for something different and depressing, unfortunately. The War by Garth Innes and Becky Cloonan, the amazing Eisner Award winning duo. This is the story of the end of the world. It's basically, it comes out, first of all, it started in the anthology comic Hello Darkness by from Boom, and it grew, and now this collects um, the three issues of the story. Um, and basically it follows this group of friends who are in New York City when the unthinkable happens and nuclear war starts, and it follows them as the destruction is happening and unfolding, and how they have to survive the terrors of nuclear war. This is very um, graphic in the sense that it doesn't shy away from the terrors of what happens when nuclear weapons are released, and the destruction of it, but also what comes with it. Um, it I was looking, I was researching through it, and I found a lot of great reviews. But there's this one review in AIPT that calls it the best and the the feel bad comic of the decade, but also says that it's like the best comic book of the year, but also like the worst in the sense that it's such a sad and book to read. Um, also, I wanted to sort of read a little bit about it, and it says that it mentions, it talks about as it stands, fans of Enos and Cloonan's prior work owe it to themselves to check out The War if they haven't already. Just be ready to set the book down with a pit in your stomach. The ending, that ending, man. So, again, it's something that you're like, might be not thinking, oh, maybe this is not for you, but it is a very cool uh, I mean, the illustrations are impeccable. The story is also impeccable. It is something, if you're interested in this kind of topic, it is a very interesting look into what could happen in the reaction we could have to a nuclear war. So, and especially from a place like New York. So there you go. It's reality horror, which is probably the worst kind of horror,
Mhm. All right,
right?
so we're moving on to highlights, and I'll start
Yes.
off here. We have Mark Waid's Absolute Power and the very popular Absolute Wonder Woman. This is the volume two, though, from Kelly Thompson. And of course, the Zeb Wells Amazing Spider-Man Run. So this is collected in the Omnibus Volume 1 that's releasing in February. And then the really cool barbed wire compendium by a whole host of creators that you'll see here, Chris Warner, John Arcudi, and others. And then, of course, these DC Compacts does really well. We have the very, very popular Sean Murphy and the Batman White Knight coming in this format, the DC Comics format.
Yes. And continuing highlighting is Black Panther, Panther Spray Omnibus, and with a Dennis Cohen cover. This is by Jack Kirby. And then we have Daybreak, Volume 2 by Moonsup. And we continue with FBP, Federal Bureau of Physics, Volume 1, The Paradigm Shift. This is by Oliver Simon. And then also IDW has, sort of compacted editions, uh, or smaller editions or collections, I should say, called the IDW Classic Collection, and they're coming out with Godzilla, Rulers of Earth, and by Chris Morey, Mark Frank, Jeff Sorno. And last on this slide, it's Gotham Sirens, Fit for Orbit by Leah Williams.
And then the very beautiful Helen of Windhorn by Tom King. This is the deluxe edition. I can't wait to have this in my hands because it's going to be gorgeous. You
Yeah.
can already see that on the cover. We have the webtoon Unscroll Kispeth. This is by Ingrid Ocha. And the Dan Panosian title, I picked this up in single issues. This is the Last Boy, the Peter Pan-esque title that you'll see here. We have Lovely Recipe by Myra Rose Nino. And of course, from Boom Studios, we have the Lumberjanes, which was a sensation when it came out, but it's coming in this nice edition here. This is book 3, Shannon Waters.
And we continue with Luna Express by Campbell White. And then we have an anonymous edition of March, written by the late John Lewis, and with Andrew Ideen, and Nate Powell. Um, and yeah, we have the I I think it's both of them are the complete, right? But different covers. Is that what
Different
it is?
covers, yeah.
Yeah, because they're both the trilogy as an omnibus. And then we have Minor Threats Library Edition Volume 1 by Patton Oswalt and John Bloom and a bunch of other creators involved. And then we have The Missionary from Distillery by Ryan Stegman and Jason Howard.
All right, Mr. Terrific Year One, Alfred Lutzen, the Jeff Lemire. This is the new edition of the Nobody. And then we have, of course, the Ryan North, One World Under Doom, and the Rainbow Rowell, the Runaways, Think of the Children, which has a really cool cover. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Century Omnibus, David Finch cover. This is the Paul Jenkins title.
All right. And we continue with Something is Killing the Children, Volume 9. Obviously, the amazing James Tynion the fourth story continues. And then Star Trek Deep Space Nine Omnibus with a lot of creators involved on this. And in the center, there you see Superior Spider Man Return Omnibus, Mark Bagley cover. This was written by Christopher Jost. And Superman, New Krypton Saga Omnibus Volume 1 by Jeff Jones. And last but not least, this is Titans by Tom Taylor Omnibus. That's
Okay,
it.
and so we
And that's it.
conclude with that for our highlights.
Yeah.
So we'll exit off the screen, but we'll leave you with the rest of the list. So definitely stay on for more.
Yeah.
And yeah, go. I don't know if you have any parting words, Hector.
No, you said it all. You took
Oops.
the words out of my
I took
mouth,
the thunder.
literally. But thank you so much. Take care.
I just wanted to
Bye.
say goodbye.
I know. I know.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.